lifts at the minute.
Yes, mine too.
Lifts?
Just like hang snatch technique
Oh,
and stuff
okay.
like that.
Not Otis and Schindler.
Not hang snatch, hang clean.
I've been thinking like this. Is your YouTube that because we share the same YouTube channel on Egg Chasers and I'm watching a lot of lifts and therefore this is making you watch more lifts?
Or is it vice versa? I don't know.
That's a
Chicken and egg.
It's a good question, that. Am I subconsciously, if you get on someone's YouTube, can you subconsciously affect what they think?
Wow, you can brainwash.
Right. I think we're on. Are we on?
I don't believe so.
Let's have a look.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hold on. No. Wait. Oh, I need to wait for the ad to play. There's 8 people. There's 8 people watching. 12. So
I've got no one watching.
That's a good sign.
Well,
now an Uber advert. 5-second pre-roll. I love the adverts, mind you. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I like
Octopus
to know
Energy.
Yes,
advert.
we're live. Oh, you got an Octopus Energy one?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I've got 12. All right, fine.
Great.
Let's press this button.
Yeah, let's do it. Hello, Egg Chasers. It's the Egg Chasers Rugby Podcast, the podcast about rugby that doesn't take itself or the game too seriously. And we're back in the rugby dungeon after a bonkers weekend of rugby, Premiership semi-finals, top 14 Mushroom Cup, World Club Cup, Mushroom Cup final, Trans-Tasman Games, and all sorts of other stuff going on.
Loads of stuff.
Which we'll get into. Hello, JB.
Hello, Tim.
Nice Sale Sharks clobber you got on there, mate.
With this whole thing, I just threw it on.
How you doing, Phil?
Hello, Tim. Very good, thank you.
I didn't ask. I just said hello, Phil.
Very good anyway. Thank you for not asking, Tim.
So, I'm not sure if YouTube picked up this conversation before, but Tim just said that his YouTube is full of things like big lifts.
We're on YouTube, by the way.
Yeah.
There's people streaming, watching right now. Hello, leave a little comment, leave a message. Burge Takarian, for example, a Quins fan. Quins were outstanding. Best match I've ever been at. You were there. Oh, what a game to have been at. We'll get into that in a little bit. But hit like and leave your comments in the live chat. If you're listening on the podcast, hit subscribe wherever you get yours. Continue, JB. Sorry.
Yeah. So Tim made the point that all his YouTube suggestions now are just big lifts because you've been watching big lift videos. The thing is, we share a YouTube channel because we've got the Egg Chasers one. So you've got your personal one, but I tend to find I'm still logged into the Egg Chasers one. And I've also been watching big lifts. So I'm wondering, have you been influencing my decisions on what I watch? Have you been watching much naval military history, Tim?
No, not that. But I think potentially you're right. We both separately happen to be watching lift stuff. And it's only spiralling our interest.
Exactly.
We're skewing the algorithm for each other.
So here's the thing, right? Say if you want to manipulate someone, like a partner or a friend, get onto their YouTube and just watch the things that you want them to watch.
Yeah, now that's a good idea.
I mean, it's a little bit creepy, but it seems to work for me and Tim.
It is. I mean, it's less creepy than whispering things in their sleep, hoping it will subconsciously get into their mind.
Isn't it actually, in a way, exactly the same?
It's very similar.
It's
There's
very
definite
similar.
parallels.
So
Anyway.
it's just a thought.
In summary, we're on YouTube.
Yes.
So, yeah, this weekend, absolutely bonkers game of rugby. Games of rugby. So good. Are you right there, Phil?
Yeah.
Shutting the door, because I think there's a tumble dryer doing its thing.
Yeah. Something is draining outside.
Yeah.
Outside the room.
I actually didn't watch either of the two Premiership semi-finals live.
That's incredible. Why?
Because I was away on a family weekend down at my dad's, my brother and my sisters.
But
and
you
all
have
the
watched
kids and
them, right?
stuff. I've watched them, yeah. But as it turned out, did you know how Joe Marler got to the game?
Maserati.
Even more Quinsy than that.
Yeah, I
Two
assume.
Maseratis?
Well, I assume he drove his Maserati a couple of miles down the road to where it was safe to land a helicopter.
Yeah.
And he got a helicopter to the game.
He got my dad, and where we were this weekend was just outside or close to Tonbridge in Kent, which, as it turns out, is where Joe Marler lives, and that is where he got a helicopter from to North Bristol.
What?
Something or other, somewhere to get to the game because they had the birth of their fourth child.
Oh, congratulations, Joe Marler.
So congratulations to Joe Marler. So he arrived by helicopter to a Premiership semi-final to get his team to a final.
Think he'll take the helicopter to the final?
Yeah, just
Should
superstition.
do.
Superstition. I reckon.
From the stoop. Go to the stoop, park your Maserati, then get the helicopter to Twickenham.
And he played almost the full 100 minutes, didn't he?
He was magnificent.
He was
Yeah.
immense.
That's one of the best performances of a player I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Particularly like when you consider what he does.
Yes, and he was still going at it. Like, obviously, Sinclair got brought off after 45, 50 minutes. A Foa comes on. So it's two top-quality tight heads that he's against. And after 80, 90 minutes, he was still going strong.
So I had your words, Phil, ringing in my ears when I was watching Joe Marler. And it was regarding what you said about the cyclists who went as far as they could, and then they offered 500 quid and they went a little bit further.
Yeah.
Because they do rotate these props as if, like, this is the wisdom of doing it now. Like, that's just what happens. And I'm wondering whether, if you've just got a great guy on there, if you just keep the great guy on there.
Yeah, it all depends on individuals. Because like, some guys are conditioned to only be able to play kind of 60-plus minutes. 60 or less minutes. Other guys like Marler is, like, everyone talks, I've heard Eddie Jones talking in the past about just how dedicated he is, particularly for his strength training and his fitness training. And if you've got a guy like that who is still doing it after 60, 70, 80, 90 minutes, you don't need to take him off.
No.
Why would you?
And it's not like it was not a lung-busting game to have played in. Like, not the sort of place where you think, oh, a prop in a wide channel will get exposed, but actually Marler made some amazing covering tackles.
Yeah, and he's smart enough not to find himself exposed very much.
Yeah.
But also, you look at other guys, so like, two guys who are really fit in totally different positions, but Semi Randrandra was cramping and Harry Thacker was cramping. Now, I know Thacker's missed a lot of the season because of injuries, but he's a fit guy. He moved from the front row to the back row. Because of injuries and changes. Yeah, because they brought Capon on.
Because Thomas dropped out before the warm-up.
Yeah.
And they'd already had their other back row on. Anyway.
Yeah. And one of the things that Pat Lam did probably a bit too early was start making changes, non-injury related changes, because he thought the game was over. So, like, taking Sinclair off after 45 minutes to give him a rest.
Before we get too deep into the game, just on in lieu of pretty much nothing, I learned a new rule today. I didn't realise. Did you know that if you lose a player to a HIA because of foul play, you get another replacement that you can just
I'm so glad
on the bench?
So glad you said rule. Because I thought I was going to correct you and say, no, it's a law. But you are right, it's a rule. Rules the competition, laws the game.
I didn't know that, as happened in when Richard Capstick for Exeter had to go off with an HIA because Manu Tuolangi clocked him in the face and sent his chin to Cornwall.
Yeah, I only knew that because Nick Mellons told me.
They got an extra, I didn't know that. They got an extra player on the bench.
Did they?
Yeah.
So that happened in the first 4
Well, they
minutes,
had an extra
in there.
player on the bench, but presumably you can bring on a sub and then reverse that sub. Can you?
No,
as in
you
as
got
in
an
you had
extra,
a 24th
You had
man.
a 24th man.
Well, so the guy just goes and gets changed. So this guy just goes and gets changed, and then
Well, they have loads of travelling replacements.
yeah,
and
that's what I mean. They go like,
yeah.
you get on the bench.
Yes, I believe so.
No,
Unless I've got that wrong. That's as I interpreted it.
I
From what they
interpret it
said.
as like you can make an extra change.
Yeah,
So like I take you off, but then I can put you back on, like an interchange. That's how I.
Which you can
okay,
always,
maybe
you can
it's
always
that.
do that.
You can always do that for an HIA.
Yes, you can always replace someone for a HIA, but you can only replace them with someone who has not gone off as injured, has gone off as a tactical
Yes.
sub, which was
As
the
we
whole
found
thing
out.
that Pat Lam was trying to exploit, which is the whole thing that Bloodgate was trying to exploit all those years ago as well.
Oh, hey, someone tell me if I've got that right or wrong. As I say, I didn't watch the game live because of family and stuff, and I watched.
Yeah.
But I believe that's what they said.
They did say that. Which I don't know how to interpret it. Maybe your
Okay.
interpretation's right. I don't know. I just think it'd be weird to say, yeah, we'll get that guy. That guy?
Yeah.
That guy.
And is it still the same after? Because that was after 3-4 minutes. Presumably, if it's a rule, it's still the same after 74 minutes.
Yeah.
In which case, you call up someone else who wasn't playing for
Yeah.
the preceding
Get warm
73 minutes.
very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be weird to see him warming up, like getting, throwing off his shirt and tie, trying to borrow some boots off someone. Be very level
He's had
8.
6 pints.
Yeah, he's hammered. You can't get him on.
Right, I'll tell you what. So Joe Marler became a father for the 4th time. Congratulations. The swagger he must have had walking back in home after that. Amazing. But I've got, as it's Father's Day, happy Father's Day, gents. I'm sure you,
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
sure
thank
you were
you.
well looked after today. The pair of you.
I just find Father's Day another excuse for people to spend my time how I don't want it spent.
Well, I've actually got a game that we can play, a quick Father's Day related game. So
Okay.
Oh, yes, please.
I'm going to give you some names, and you're going to tell me what the surname is of the father and son /sons.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
So,
you want the surname?
Easy to start with it. I'll go Phil first. Owen and Andy.
Farrell.
Right. JB. Emil and Roman.
Intermac.
Correct.
And who's the younger Intermac who's just he played for
you're
France
right.
under 20s this
Yeah.
weekend as a flanker?
Yes, I did notice this. I can't remember who it is
I
though.
can't remember his name.
Yeah, Francois or something.
Yeah.
Whatever his name is. Young Intermac, 19-year-old Intermac.
Okay. Phil. Nick, Ben, Tom.
Youngs.
Correct. JB.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, Joe, George.
And Jacob Ford.
Correct. Right, we'll get a little bit trickier now. Phil, only a little bit. Jim and Harry.
Malander.
Correct.
Oh, yes, good. I'm thinking brothers. Yes. What
Yeah. JB. Brian and Cameron.
Redpath.
Correct.
And there's a younger Redpath as well, isn't there? Who's
Oh,
playing
is there?
9
Uh-oh.
for Scotland under 20s.
Well, let's just hope that Bath don't buy him out of his contract anytime soon if he's any good.
All right.
Or for him, let's hope they do.
Yes.
Get a lot more money.
We're equal so far. Getting a little bit trickier still, I think.
Ooh.
Phil. Alex and Rob. Oh, sorry. Rob and Alex.
Okay.
Oh.
If anyone in the chat can get it, I'm looking. Rob and Alex. Dad Rob, son Alex.
Son Alex, right, okay.
I'll put the dads first.
Dad Rob.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah. I'll pass.
I'll leave you thinking about that. JB, George and Gary.
Graham.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
an easier one.
Correct. We have got someone in the live chat that's got it right.
Ooh.
To the
Phil,
phones.
do you want to have a guess?
Rob, I'm going to say Andrew.
Ooh.
I don't know. any
No,
Alex Andrew.
it's Rob and Alex Lazowski. Well done, Tom B.
I never got that.
God.
Yeah, Alex
Yeah.
Lazowski's dad played for England.
Did not know
Wow.
that.
Yeah.
I think I have heard that, but I would not have got that.
JB's in the lead. Phil, your next one is. These are really tough when you just get the names.
What a shame.
I'm going to make it interesting now.
Go on.
Di and Thomas.
Young.
Correct. JB, Paul and Ross.
Paul is the dad, yeah?
Yeah.
And Ross.
Ross is the son.
Yeah, I think I've got that.
Ooh.
I think.
Don't know.
Phil, what do you think?
Moriarty.
Correct.
Oh,
Moriarty.
God, that's obvious.
So I take the lead with that?
No, you're drawing.
No, because I got another one right.
I don't even know where we're at right now. The last
No,
one,
maybe.
first person to get it right, just say your
Okay.
answer when you got it. Paul and James.
Grayson.
Correct, Phil. He takes it.
damn it.
There we
Damn it,
go.
damn it. You didn't go for Sam and Steve.
Sam and Steve.
Diamond. Why not?
The head of comms at Sale and the former director of rugby. We haven't heard anything more about Steve Diamond and his house hunting in Gloucestershire, have we?
All channels are quiet.
Oh well. Right, let's get into some rugby then. Should we start with that Quins game?
We can't start anywhere else.
Absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard.
I mean, let's just be clear. It's no Bath 3, Sale 6.
No, it's definitely not. It's hard to know where to start with it because it's such an opposite game from the first half to the second. I'm not even sure that. I mean, did the Quins play well or did Bristol just fall to pieces? I honestly can't work it out.
Let's do it chronologically. So, for that first 28 minutes, but really the majority of the first half, Bristol looked incredible. Like everyone was making meters. Everyone was getting great yards. They were dominant in the tackle. Quins had no ball. Quins couldn't do anything with what little ball they had. It was just totally one-sided.
Yeah.
And then there's a few changes. Like Quins started to get a little bit more purchase, but nothing really in that first half. The only real attacking opportunity that Quins had in that first half was the try on 38 or 39 minutes which was by a Bristol mistake that Dombrandt switched on to, and none of the Bristol players did. So that gave them a tiny little lifeline. But I went into halftime thinking there is no chance, there is no way that Quins have got any route back into this, because Bristol, they just need to shore up and do what they were doing.
I'd love to know what the odds are.
Oh, I can tell you.
What?
Well, the odds are at half time.
Yeah.
They were 40-1 because I put a bet on.
but of course you didn't get the payout because
No.
it finished technically a draw.
Exactly. So
You're a bolder man than I, because I thought Quins had no way back. And even when Quins scored that, so they scored again, 41 minutes on the clock, Quins score again. And even then I thought, no chance, because Bristol are just going to solidify, they're going to shore up, go back to how they know how to play, and they're going to win this comfortably. But then Bristol started making changes, and they started changing a few players in and out. It almost came off as if they wanted to rest players for the inevitable final.
yeah.
Oh wow!
And then you start thinking.
Do you think there's potentially any truth in that?
Yeah.
Do you think there's an element of hubris
I
that's bit them in the ass?
I think a little bit.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I'd not even thought of that. But when you look at the changes and when they happened and who they were,
So there is. So if you look at the timeline here, so Piatow goes off for a HIA, so that is obviously not an enforced change.
Yeah.
Johan Lloyd came on, didn't look particularly good, threw a couple of dodgy passes and got caught out positionally a couple of times. But then after that, so they change Jonathan and Sinclair round. Now Sinclair can play more than 46 minutes, so that feels like a resting position. Joe Joyce comes on for Dave Atwood, 53 minutes. Randall Uren, maybe 1A, 1B.
Standard, yeah.
Yeah.
So I disagree. I agree and simultaneously disagree. Okay, so
Of course.
I do think that Bristol definitely made some changes to rest people. I also think, and this is one of the thoughts I had when I was considering how is this game going to pan out in the second half, which is how do Harlequins dig themselves out this hole? And the answer is not using the bench, because the bench just isn't. It's just not there. And I look at the Bristol bench, I'm thinking there's a chance that in some aspects of the game, Bristol could improve. Like a tiring Sinclair, John Offoa, that's fine. I mean, Offoa's been one of the best players in the entire league. It's not like you're downgrading. It's not bringing on the academy kid. So no issues with that. Same with, Randall is there to 9 for a lot of people, and that
depends what you want him to do.
Yeah,
but he has.
Uren has been awesome this year.
Yeah,
yes,
I've loved Uren.
So was Randall until his injury. He was on, in England.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Piers O'Connor. Piers O'Connor's a superb player.
Yeah, no, he came on for Morahan.
Yes,
which is an interesting one.
Yeah, that raised an eyebrow to me.
Yeah.
So
and taking your captain Stephen Luatua off with 20 minutes to go for Jake Keenan.
Particularly the Morahan one, particularly when the key linchpin in your backfield, Sir Charles, is out of action. You sort of want as little Johan Lloyd and Piers O'Connor in your back three. I mean, excellent players, but it's a very, very different feel, particularly when you've got Marcus Smith, who can and Danny Kerr, who between them have got great range and tactical kicking.
So let's rewind this game to the very start of the first half. This is what I wrote down on my notes anyway. I thought that Bristol were superb, or indeed Harlequins terrible, whichever way you look at it, at the breakdown. So they couldn't secure their own breakdown ball, and because they couldn't secure their own breakdown ball, couldn't get quick ball, couldn't get over the gain line. And it's kind of like Rugby 101. Even though both these teams are renowned for their amazing attacking rugby, what they both needed in order to score is the most simple of all things, which is get over the gain line. That's all they needed. And Harlequins could not for the life of them get over the gain line. I mean, they actually had some reasonable territory. Particularly about 7 to 10 minutes they got into the Bristol half, but they couldn't get the ball back, and they were committing 5 guys to breakdowns. Whatever it was, it just wasn't working for them. They weren't going forward, and until they start going forward, this game is basically dead. So whatever the change was they made at half time, whatever they said, I'm pretty sure it must have all evolved around the very basics of rugby, which is get over the gain line, look after your breakdown. That's basically it. That is all of rugby. And then they can start building on the things they do well.
One of our listeners was there, Burge, and he said Quins were not bad, but Breeze were incredible. I believe never died, though. He says the energy of the fans was truly, truly incredible. And at half-time, the Harlequins fans, were talking about winning it honestly. He says, honestly, we were talking about winning it. which is that's bold.
That is bold. Yeah.
Yeah, fair play. Because I still even when Quins went 24-28, didn't it?
Yeah.
And I was like, even then I was like, no, they're not going to do. Like they've put too much into this 20-minute period. But no, I was totally wrong. I had too much faith in Bristol.
Yeah, so I'm gonna back up my chat now. This is not just with hindsight. I actually did this. I did put on a £5 bet at half time, 40-1 odds. Didn't win it because of course it was a draw at full time. So I did think
Fair play.
there was a
What were
chance.
the odds for a draw? They must have been crazy.
God knows.
Yeah,
God knows.
more than that, because normally a draw would sit about 20-1.
Yeah.
But when one team is an uneven number of points ahead, 23 points ahead, the likelihood of that happening,
Unlikely.
very, very unlikely.
Oh, by the way, Martin Lewis has messaged in the live chat going, I know JB would really want to know. Joe Marler flew in a Bell 206 Jet Ranger
Oh, thanks.
helicopter.
Thanks. Yeah,
There you go.
and just in response to that, I'd like to point out to Martin that my models, which is asked about, are a Seafire and they're also a Hawker Siddeley Typhoon. personal in joke. Yeah. So one of the reasons that I thought it's more than likely dead, but it's worth a go at 40-1, is because if you were going to construct a team from the ground up and you had unlimited money, like what would be the first 3 players that you would sign? Not the actual people, but what positions?
Fly half.
Fly half, tight head prop.
Number 8.
Yeah, but or 15.
Number 8, yeah.
So
Yeah.
of those 4 positions, tight head prop, number 8, fly half, 15.
Yeah. So I'd go 9-10 or 10-9, whichever.
Well,
And-
I kind of feel like with those two, you can spend a lot of money on one and have a very adequate but not special.
That is true, actually. A great one can make the other one great.
Exactly, a complementary.
And 2 great ones, is that just overkill?
It can be, yeah.
Yeah, do they?
They're
Yeah.
both trying to do really flashy stuff all the time.
And if you can't get a great tight head for whatever reason, your best option is to get a really amazing loose head to nullify the great tight head you couldn't get.
Yeah.
So
Although Quins do have a bloody good tight head and a bloody good loose head.
yeah. So just the fact that Marcus Smith was on the field, the fact that Danny Kerr was on the field, I thought there's always this chance. There's always a chance.
And Dombran and Tyrone Green.
Yeah.
Magical
I love
towards
Dom.
the end.
I absolutely love Don Brandt. Filthy hands, unbelievable running angles. I talk all the time about his rugby brain. I think in English rugby, he's got the best rugby brain.
But do you not think he did something different this game? But particularly second half. What I liked about his performance was, yeah, he did that Dom Brandt classic thing when he hits an amazing line and he's steaming through. Awesome.
Lewis Liner tried
For
that
that try.
line, and it was not just the line; it was the nous to then kind of stop, check, change his angle to buy himself time for Lewis Liner to join him, and then the pass. That was brilliant.
So that's all ace. We know he can do that. But what I liked about it is he started playing like a proper 8. Like he started being very physical. He started lowering his shoulder. He started doing really cool, hard graft. It's funny you mentioned Lewis Liner, because Lewis Liner I watched the other week at Sale when he came over, and I thought Harlequins were woeful. The only bright spot.
I didn't do that in the father and son thing.
Yeah, Michael and Lewis.
Michael and
I
Lewis.
was expecting that one.
Yeah. You've put me off now.
Sorry, you saw him. You saw him at Sale.
Lewis Liner playing against Sale.
And he was the only bright spot. Just the way he plays, just doesn't give up. Very, very gritty. Pretty tough player, actually.
He's a talented player.
So in the first half, I thought the only guys who had even a semblance of a good half were Liner and Kenningham. I thought Kenningham was really good.
Kenningham did have a good game. Yeah.
So, am I right? There was someone with a really annoying horn in the crowd. If that was a Bristol fan, for that alone, I'm glad that Quins have made it, because I wouldn't want that spoiling the final Harlequins. I also love that this happened just after the real dull England-Scotland football match. So anyone that wanted a bit of weekend sport, like, oh God, what an absolute ball ache that game was last night. Let me flick this on. And they saw that. Love it.
Well, I mean, they might have turned off after 40, to be fair.
Yeah, no, this is
They probably
dull
lost
as dishwater, one-sided.
Probably lost all their audience.
And also, I just think Wayne Barnes has got to get a lot of credit again, because there's something about Wayne Barnes. The number of times he's involved in some epic and it's often very, very long games with free rugby in them.
Yes.
Yeah.
The number of games he's involved in, it's not just a coincidence. He lets the boys play.
Now, I thought he was magnificent for the entire game until 101 minutes when I think he got the last call wrong. And I actually think he discharged his duty and basically passed it on to the TMO.
Which one was this?
Oh, yeah,
So the final try, Joe Marchant scores in the corner for the final try, which in the run up to that, Luke Northmore hits Siali Piatau hard. They allow it to play to score the try, and then they go to the TMO, and the TMO, Wayne Barnes basically says to the TMO, does he hit shoulder to chest or shoulder to head? And the TMO says there is no contact with the head, which I think is the wrong.
I can't see how you come to that conclusion,
There is.
It's at least a penalty, isn't it?
It's at least a penalty.
Minimum.
There is contact with the shoulder at exactly the same time. Luke Northmore's shoulder to Siali Piatau's chest and jaw, head, neck area.
Yeah.
So that, in my mind, should have been, in fact, I think at least a yellow card, and potentially, given the force it was, potentially a red card, which would have given us even more free rugby, because it would have wiped off the Harlequins' try. Yeah, would have wiped off their final try. Bristol would have been 2 points behind. Quins would have then had a man in the bin or permanently sent off. And there's time to play. Bristol can actually win it, because all they need then is a penalty or another try.
Yeah,
to win it.
But Bristol are playing with 13 at this point, aren't they?
Down to 13.
Yeah, because Semi goes off 14, and I think Thacker then picks up an injury.
He was struggling,
and he goes.
Cramp.
So that's why Marchant goes over, because they're down to 13.
There's no one left.
Yeah.
We could have had a few more bits of rugby, but so I think Bristol fans will be frustrated at that.
Well,
but they should be more frustrated. They will be
as we say all the time, you can't blame an incident that happens at the end of a game because there are 80 minutes, or in this case, 101
minutes.
101 minutes.
Yeah, it was two lots of 10 at the end.
2 lots of 10, yeah.
Yeah, pick your battle. That's what I'm saying. If you think that the high shot was the reason that your team's not going through, look at the how many
28-point lead that you squandered. 28 points.
Wow. What about this Bristol team then? Is it fundamentally flawed?
So I don't believe so. I think they made some mistakes with the changes.
They won the Challenge Cup. They finished top in regular season. So I think on that basis alone, the last since November when they won the Challenge Cup, and then over 22 games of a Premiership season being the best team.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think actually people like to frame this question as they like to say, I really hope Bristol or Harlequins win it because it shows us a different way to play rugby. And I don't think that's a very good question, because there's obviously different ways to play rugby. And I think, you play this game several times, Bristol probably win, 6 out of 7.
Yes.
They're not. If they weren't getting into the top 4, then they would be fundamentally flawed.
Yes.
But actually, it's like the John Gruden thing. He used to say that I don't have a problem because I get to the playoffs every single year. Eventually, they will win one. I'm still pretty sure that eventually Bristol will win one. And even if they don't win one, there's only one team that can do it every year anyway.
Yeah, I don't think they're fundamentally flawed. I think they will be ruining this missed opportunity because it was there for the taking. What I will say, what I had ringing in my ears as Quins were basically winning this game, scoring all those tries later on, was something that the Bristol players have been saying, which is trust your processes. Now, what I mean by that is, when we spoke about kind of Bristol saying trust the processes where they won games late on early in the season, is if you're a 90% line out winning team and you miss 3 lineouts on the bounce, that doesn't mean that you should rip everything up and start again. It means you are more likely to win 9 out of the next 10 lineouts because you're going to trend to the mean.
Yes, quite.
For the first 28 minutes or for the first 39 minutes of this game, Bristol, everything went in Bristol's favour. The bounce of the ball went to Bristol. The gaps went to Bristol. When Bristol picked a pass and Quins read a defence, Bristol found the gap and Quins missed the tackle. But it was always going to trend towards the mean. Quins were going to get those chances. What happened, though, is Bristol, in my head, Bristol forgot about that trending to the mean. They forgot to trust the process and trust that, no, Quins are not 28 points worse off than Bristol. They're maybe 5 points off worse off than Bristol, and they forgot about all that.
At the end of an average 80.
Correct.
So where are these points coming
Do you know
from?
what? That is
Yeah.
that is an absolutely brilliantly put, articulately done, eloquently argued way of basically doing a statistical version of what coaches have done since time immemorial at half time. 0-0, lads.
0-0. Yeah. Boys, it's 0-0.
I guess that is the message to the Quins, though, isn't it? When they come out, first things first, do your most simple job. Get over the game line, look after your breakdown. And then maybe Marcus can do something.
Yeah.
Maybe Don Brandt can do something. Maybe something can happen. Just to push back a bit on, reverting to the mean, maybe over the course of a game. So I always think, so this is a conversation which I had with a coach of mine, and I mentioned it the other day actually, which is he would say, okay, we're in a half time, we're 3 tries up. They might score 3, but there's no way that we're not going to score 3. And I think that's just not how it works.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that. And that's exactly my point. That coach would have looked back and say, oh, in the first 28 minutes we've scored 4 tries. Therefore, over the next 28 minutes we're going to score another 4 tries, and the following 28 we'll score another 4 tries after that. That's exactly not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
sorry, are we talking about Saracens v Ealing now? Sorry.
I guess the most important point about this is for Harlequins to actually believe that.
Yeah.
That's the most important part, because if they don't believe that, well, there's no reversing back to anything.
No, and Bristol almost believed the opposite. Bristol believed that, well, we scored 4 tries in the first 28 minutes, therefore we are going to just keep scoring tries.
How do they not keep scoring tries? I just don't.
So that does remind. So I actually listened to, because BT Sports website was down for the first half an hour.
What?
Another cyber attack, is it?
Perhaps, but so I was listening to it on BBC Radio Bristol.
Okay.
With, Gareth Chilcott doing the
Coochie.
comms. I have to share this bit of audio because it's.
Oh yes, Phil.
It's absolutely. Oh, 1 sec. Sorry. Let me mute us, which was running in the background.
Oh, I've got an incredible story about content on my laptop which played once it shouldn't have played.
So let me hold this. So listen to this. This is after 28 minutes. This is when Max Mellons had just scored his 2nd try. And let me make sure this is turned up to 11.
11?
Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
And BBC iPlayer.
Does it go up to 11?
It does.
That's got to be an internal BBC joke there.
It is. Yeah. Right. See if you can hear this.
Can he bring this one round? Yes, he can. Bristol Bears fans who are listening, I am not making this up. 28 minutes gone, Bristol 28, Harlequins 0.
Well, by my reckoning, that's 160 nil then by the end of the game.
What?
Oh no.
He was my favourite player when I first got into rugby. Gareth Chilcott was my favourite
He
player.
seems like the kind of guy who might have a VHS of his greatest scrums, or one of those stocking fellas. I bet he did actually.
He did, yeah. No, he did. He very much did. In fact, I mean, I don't even know. Can I mention the programme? I wrote into a
Jim will fix it.
yeah. I wrote to ask to train with the Bath Rugby Club and Gareth Chilcott. I must have been 7 or 8.
If only you were hotter. Oh well.
I'm going to change subject. Gas Maschio on our YouTube feed has said, I see the Greenwood Quinn shirt is still up.
It is.
Funny you should say that.
Tell that story.
Very good point. Yeah.
So, yes, so we are on patreon.com/Egg Chasers, where we really, really appreciate the support for the podcast, which is enabling us to do live shows. More on that in a little bit, to make sure, well, we actually get this little feed coming out to you regularly with, well, I was going to say no problems, but with
Occasional problems.
with occasional issues rather than lots of issues. But the person who won the shirt giveaway, which we do monthly with our patrons, of that amazing, genuine Will Greenwood Harlequin shirt, old school as you like, was Bob Sugden.
Yes,
We got an email from Bob.
we did.
Very happy to have won. Very grateful. And Phil, do you want to summarise what he said?
So yeah, he said that he strongly believes, because it is such an iconic shirt, such an incredible shirt, that it should go to a Quins fan. also, because he is in Switzerland, training for Switzerland's the over 45 Switzerland touch team who are heading to Portugal later in the year.
Love it.
It's actually incredibly difficult for us to send it to him. So for those two reasons, he said he would like it to go to someone more deserving.
What an unbelievable gesture.
Absolutely.
It doesn't surprise me in the least. That's only what we've come to expect from Egg Chasers listeners. And Bob, you're a good man. And so I think what we're going to say is we have an email address, contacteggchasers@gmail.com. Give us a little pitch. Why should that iconic Will Greenwood shirt, and it is, what era are we talking? It's when they were kind of...
90s, mid-90s?
Yeah, mid-90s. So it's when he would have been playing for England.
Yeah. I think it might be his... Well, hang on.
Maybe
late
later.
90s.
Do you know when late
90s?
90s, I reckon.
I think that might be from his first stint in Harlequins, because he had 2 stints there. Do you know that?
Yeah, he started there and then... No.
Yeah. He started there, and then where did he go?
Leicester.
Yeah, and then went back.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's NEC Harlequins. So I had a chat to Mark Evans about this. So when Mark Evans took over, that must have been that time frame. Because one of the cool stories. Well, that's cool stories. One of the stories I like is when Mark Evans took over. Like NEC were the sponsor, and the Harlequins basically had not much of an identity. And one of the first things he did was remove the NEC logos or the colours from the posts and paint them into Harlequins colours. So it must have been at about that time.
Right. I'm just
And by the way, it's enormous, that shirt. I'm not joking.
I mean, Greenwood is a big bloke, isn't he?
Not that big, I wouldn't have thought. I mean,
No, it was the style, wasn't it? He wore it a bit baggy then.
no, you don't understand him.
Let's come down.
You do not understand.
Oh, that is massive.
Wow. Yeah, Greenwood's not
Wow.
that big.
Oh yeah, they were NEC Harlequins. Mizuno was the kit manufacturer. JB's putting it on and is going to be...
Bit of duct tape on there.
Hold on, we might be able to get an idea. What's the badge on the sleeve of the Premiership thing? Let's see. Is it on the side or is it Challenge Cup or something? Have a look. Premier Rugby.
Back in the day. Now, I don't think Will Skelton fits into this, and that's a genuine. That is genuine.
It is huge.
I'm close enough. Well, somewhere between about 90-something kg, right? Will Greenwood's a big bloke, but he's not this big.
Yeah.
Nobody I know is this bloke.
That would have been hanging off him.
If you
He
wore,
wore it in a game.
so there you go. It needs to go to a great home, and thanks to the generosity and humility of Egg Chasers listeners, contact eggchasers@gmail.com. Send us a pitch with an email. Why should it be you or someone that you know or whatever?
Yeah, give us a reason to have it,
and we'll leave it open.
I mean, being a Quins fan is a good reason, but if you've got a better reason for it, like it's going to go to somebody else, basically. If you've got a selfless gesture, let us know.
2 more things from the Bob Sugden email. So
yeah,
he did say thank you very much for talking about his beloved Wharfedale, which we received.
fantastic.
You played at
rugby club.
Wharfedale.
I've played at Wharfedale.
I played against Wharfedale, but not for the reasons that you think. It was a sevens tournament in Anglesey,
Nice.
and they smashed everybody.
Yeah.
All I remember is they had a pack that were just full of men with those farmers' arms, massive farmers' forearms.
Yes, the forearms. But farmers don't really do biceps, do they? They do forearms.
They do forearm curls.
Yeah, I know this because I've played against basically a whole team of farmers called Nant Conway, and they are all, I don't know, 80 kgs and below, and hard as you like, and strong, as wiry strong, and they're all uniform heights, uniform weights, from props to 15.
Stacking cows.
On the live chat,
Stacking
JB,
cows.
It has been noticed when you got up to get the shirt off the wall. It has been noted that you're and appreciative that you're not wearing shoes and socks.
Yes. Shit. They've seen.
Hold on, before we move back into the rugby, you said, I've got a story about something being played on my laptop inappropriately.
Oh, yeah. So back in the day, I'm all right to share this now. So I used to work for a financial services company in City Centre, and we had a training day where the tech people would come in and they would, they basically get everyone's laptops and they would put it on to a screen and would use the latest software. And I had a company laptop. I was 21. This is like my first proper job in the city centre. My housemate borrowed my laptop, and this is back in the day where you didn't have an internet connection because that was just a little bit pricey on your 16 grand a year salary. It's just a little bit too much. But we did have an old laptop with a little CD-ROM drivey thing.
Nice.
So I'm in this meeting, and they pass me a CD to load on this software. And as I open it, it was like, I don't know, whatever adult title that you would care to think. But I basically got.
No, I feel like we should paint the picture. Let's go
Yeah.
with
Yeah, I mean, you can make up the title of whatever. I can tell you right
Lord
now.
of Her Rings.
Yes.
I don't know. Just...
Yeah, Lord of Her Rings. Yes, that's exactly what it was. But some might call it a feature, some might call it a bug. I open up the disc tray, see this thing, panic, and slam it shut. Then I realised, fuck, it's got autoplay. So I actually pulled the battery out the laptop, pulled out the power, pulled out the battery, and said, "Oh, it's broken. I just need to nip out and see the IT guy," and they fell for it. It's fine. It was absolutely fine. I said, "Look, he does this all the time, but Anthony upstairs knows how to fix this." Oh, lethal
That's
stuff.
awesome.
Well, the other things that Bob Sugden mentioned were he also played at Cambridge. Blood and Sand, which is a very good Rugby Cup.
Yeah.
And he's very kindly done us a quiz, which we will play in a future episode. Yeah, next week, which is English Rugby International or First World War General.
Wonderful.
I love that. And also,
Yes.
Martin, if you're listening, I got your quiz on email as well. And yes, that's going to be lined up. Don't you worry. Thank you very much.
Before we get into it, remember it is the North Dorset Sevens. Come watch us. What date is that, Tim?
24th, 25th of July, that weekend. The weekend of the first Lions test, which is going to be on in Gillingham Rugby Club. We'll be there watching it with a few beers. We'll be playing 10s and 7s out on the pitch. We need, we're welcoming people that listen to come along and play. So if you're anywhere nearby, bring your boots and come and watch the game. Come and play some rugby. And on the Sunday morning afterwards, we're doing a live podcast at the club as well.
Eventbrite, North Dorset Sevens. You can pick up your tickets for the Egg Chasers live show, which is the next day. So a whole weekend of drinking.
Yes,
and a live
and
show.
Yes.
I know not everyone's
Lions test.
I know not everyone's on Twitter, but I will make sure tomorrow. Well, as we record this now, it'll be today. I'll make sure on our Twitter feed, twitter.com/rugbypodcast, I'll put a link direct to the tickets as the pin tweet at the top. So
Eventbrite, not Breitbart. Eventbrite.
quite right.
Eventbrite, North Dorset Sevens. Get involved.
Right, so we've got more. Just to give you a rundown on our menu, we've got the Championship final game. Saracens. That was just a procession of coronation.
Well, it wasn't for the first 10 minutes, mate.
Well, yeah.
Comebackers on.
Yeah.
At that rate of scoring, Ealing had a chance.
Could have been 80-0.
Yeah.
By Gareth Chilcott logic.
It could
Correct.
have been more. Could have been 160-0.
Exactly. We've also got the Mushroom Cup World Club
Sadly,
Mushroom Cup winners at Benetton Treviso.
I do think this deserves a little bit more respect than I otherwise would have given it.
Beating the Blue Balls.
I think that's incredible. I genuinely think that's incredible. Now, the competition is a farce. It fell to pieces probably beyond reasons that any reasonable administrator could hope or expect to solve. So, you can't hold them responsible for everything. But this is incredible. It's genuinely incredible that Benetton have not only won the northern bit, which was incredible in itself,
Yes.
but then to have a South African team over, and yes, they're a weakened team. I don't care. I think this is a enormous thing for Italian rugby.
It's great for Italian rugby.
I mean, it's not great for the tournament as a whole. But if you could pick one team that this would make an actual difference to, it would be one of the Italian teams. It's probably the best outcome anyone could have hoped for.
It is, because it makes them stronger, but it also gives a lot of the Italy players, and they've got a good chunk of the Italy squad, in particular Garbisi, who is one of the things we said about him previously was he's an incredibly talented young man. If he wants to be playing at the top level internationally, he needs to be playing knockout rugby.
Yes.
And what we said previously was the only legitimate way he can do that is by moving to the Premiership or France.
Yep.
He's actually got very experience of knockout rugby through the Rainbow Cup, which is brilliant. It will stand him in good stead, and it will stand Italy in good stead. And he came up shining. He was magnificent in that final.
Well, another thing, sort of linked to dovetail with this, which let's not get too deep into this, but we'll cover it off before we get to the other semi-final. There will now be an Italian team in the Champions Cup every single year.
No.
Yes, I believe there will.
No.
Oh no, there'll be an Italian or Scottish.
Okay.
So that it could well be that Benetton have got. Benetton's chances of being in the Champions Cup have significantly increased this week. That's just one of the little ramifications of a rejig to the Champions Cup format, which I'm going to go out and say I thought it's awful that the top 8 in England are now in the quote-unquote Champions Cup.
Well said.
I now think it's got even worse with the new format that has been done.
So this is the first time I've heard of this. I assumed it was reverting back to its old style. You inform me it's not, so tell me about it.
Well, one of the issues I have with it is that if you were not a massive rugby nose like we are, who would actually take time to sit down and work out how this competition works, you would be bamboozled to the extent that you'd probably lose interest and go, I don't really care.
Why don't you tell me what the actual format is first?
The format is similar to what it became due to the situation with COVID and everything and the rejig tournament for 1 year only, but they're persisting with that. So there's more teams in pools of 4 that play 2 other teams not in their pool, but the pool's rankings are with 3 teams who they don't play.
Right.
So you're battling against 3 other teams in your pool who you don't play.
I'm with you. No. Yes.
And you play two home, 2 away against teams not in your league, top 14, pro 14, if you're, top 14 and pro 16, or whatever the Mushroom Cup or whatever
United Rugby Championship.
United Rugby Championship. And then it goes to a round of 16. I think I'm really, really cheesed off. I can only imagine that the point of this is money, because it expands the number of teams, which allows South African sides to potentially qualify.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't understand it.
So I've not seen the detail of that, but the big thing this week was that from not this year, but the following year, the South African teams, the 4 South African teams who are going to be in the United Rugby Championship, are going to be eligible for qualification into
just on that
Champions Cup.
Sorry to say this in a slightly different yet linked direction. The 4 South African teams, does that mean the Kings and the Cheetahs are no longer in the Pro 14?
Correct.
Yeah, but they weren't in the Rainbow Cup.
So
they were in the Pro 14 until they dropped out of the Pro 14 when it stayed as the Pro 14, but there was only 12 teams playing in it.
So what are they going to do?
Play in the Varsity Cup.
What on earth goes on?
Yeah, so they got booted out last year.
How? And they got booted out by...
Well, they dropped out from the Pro 14
but
before
the travel, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, but they were then not invited to the Rainbow Cup. It was the other teams, the premium teams.
So it sounds a little bit to me like not the Pro 14 kicked them out, but like the South Africans.
Well, I think there is something to do with them operating under the South African.
Do you know
Union
what?
banner.
I've always thought about the Pro 14 and like all the regions and all the unions. What it could do with is another layer of politics.
Another snake pit.
Yeah, if they could just somehow engineer a little bit more snakiness, that'd be brilliant.
So this is a 2-year arrangement at the moment. I mean, hey, everyone has different opinions on it. I absolutely hate it for what it's worth.
The answer is, the Champions Cup, as I understood it this year, it didn't affect me as much as I thought it'd be, not having the group stages. It is a little bit weird, but it is okay.
Yeah, because you had the group stages was intended to be like a curtailed group stage, and that got curtailed because of.
Oh yeah, it did. They didn't play the last round.
Yeah,
did
so
they?
You went straight to the round of 16.
Yeah,
didn't you?
But the round of 16, I thought was a really big success.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So to have a round of 16 and also have your group, I mean, you've got to say. You want to ask yourself, what is more important to you? Is it those group games? And I can say it could be, because certainly the first 3 weekends of the group stages are amazing. Then the end 3 are not so good.
But mate, let me just say it again. You're in a pool of 4, but you're also in a larger pool of 12.
I get it.
And you're playing against teams that aren't in your pool.
Yeah, so my question...
It's insane, I think.
So my question to you is, what do you value more, the extra knockout rugby or the quality of the group stage?
I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. I think you can have both.
Not without more games, though.
Yeah,
you
more
can
games.
actually. Go on. Well, I've talked about it before, so I don't want to go too far into it. But pools of 3. I like the idea of playing, not replicating Premiership or top 14 derby games. So you have 3 teams, 1 Premiership.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more replication.
What,
Has to be, doesn't it? If you've got 8 Premiership teams.
only in knockouts. That's part of it.
Yeah, but if you have pools of 3,
Yeah,
there'd
if
be
you
no
have pools, so if you had pools of 3,
there's no replication.
top team goes to Champions Cup knockout, second team goes to the Challenge Cup, third team, you're out, you're gone.
But then that only gives you straight to quarterfinals. That
No,
doesn't, that doesn't give you, because if only the top 1 qualifies out of 24, that only gives you 8 teams, so that's straight to quarterfinals. So you don't get the additional round of 16.
So
which I actually don't like, because obviously I'm watching the Euros at the moment, where you've got 6 pools of 4, so 24. 6 pools of 4, 24 teams. The top 3 in most of the pools qualify. So it means that loads of games are just kind of pointless because teams have won 1 game, won 1, drawn 1, and you qualified.
Okay, what I will say is the thing that you'd always say about the Heineken Champions Cup, or whatever iteration it has been, is that it is the elite. And now you're going to have, in an elite competition, you're going to go, here we have
Bath.
Here we have London Irish versus Zebre.
Sounds pretty good.
In the
sounds pretty tasty.
In the Champions Cup.
No, I'm with you. Look, I'm completely with you. That the downsides of this, and look, there are no solutions, only trade-offs. So you're absolutely right that they've traded off the quality. But I can see the argument for the last 16, which I thought was really good.
Yeah.
And you've only got 2 away. Hang on, is that right? 2 away days.
Yeah.
Whereas you used to have 3 away days, didn't you?
Yeah.
So
but at least you know the 2 away days are going to be abroad.
Yeah. So you've got your 2 away days, which are fun. I'd prefer 3. And actually, the last 3 weeks of the group stage, that good. I mean, sometimes the last 2 weeks of the group stage are absolute dross. Sometimes
it can be, yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got 6 group games, the last 2 teams are already gone. Teams have got no hope of qualifying at that point.
Yeah. So it's not perfect.
There's one thing which I sort of touched on, which I'd say is another negative for me. I appreciate I'm being negative on this, but hey.
And there's 1 less game in total, which I think has got to be a good thing.
I don't know if that's the case. I haven't worked it out.
It was last year.
It was last year. I don't know.
Yeah,
anyway,
if the format's similar, it could be.
It could be
6 group games and then top.
The United Rugby Championship, which. Well, I don't like South Africans qualifying for the Heineken Championship.
Yeah, can we just talk about it a second? Has this been run past, I don't know, Sale Sharks or someone that you've got? I mean, obviously for them, it's home away from home. It's not a massive deal. But, other clubs, has anyone said, how do you feel about your teams jumping on an airplane and going away?
For 1 game, because historically in the Pro 14, when you've been playing South Africa or Super Rugby, you would do a South African tour or an Australian tour, so you're there for 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
Not for 1 game, which will be unquestionably jam-packed in the middle of a schedule where, for example, if Exeter go, Exeter could have their English players playing for England in, I don't know, Italy or somewhere, then the following week playing the Premiership, and then the following week playing South Africa in the Champions Cup, and the following week being back in the Premiership.
It's mad.
That seems madness.
It seems more than that. It seems borderline unsafe.
And that's
well, when there's welfare, like one of the big things is about welfare of the players. That seems questionable.
And that's also separate from the European Champions Cup having South African teams in it, which I don't like, but some people are for it. I just think it all smells of cash, and I know rugby's got to pay the bills. I get that, but the other element, which is got separate from that, but that I also don't like, just to add to the list, while I'm chucking mud at the wall, is the fact that in the United Rugby Championship, this new competition replacing the Pro 14, there will always be a team from a Welsh region, for example. Always. Not by merit.
Yep.
Just because they happen to be Welsh. For example.
Yes. Yeah.
Which stinks. Because, again, that's against the whole ethos of that competition.
Of meritocracy.
But there again, it was like that previously. But it was only until about 3 or 4 years ago when it changed.
Yeah, but if the Welsh had their own league, they would be given X amount of places anyway. So it doesn't really matter too much, because what you're doing is
they can do that if they want to. They can withdraw from the United Rugby Championship, but they're choosing to go to the United Rugby Championship. So
yeah, but I think it comes with that negotiation, doesn't it? That hey, we had some things anyway, and we will keep those as as a nation, as a union.
But how would you feel if, like, let's
Terrible.
say, for argument's sake, 4 Welsh regions finished 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, and you're the team. You're the team.
Yeah.
Hey, Scarlets, you're in. Sorry, Ulster, you're out.
Yeah, I feel terrible. But then, you can't have everything, can you? You can't have non-duplication of Premiership games and not have the Welsh teams in.
Yeah.
It's all these little, all these little things. You can never ever please everyone.
No, and for me, I'd be quite happy with the Champions Cup being like just 4 rounds, just a straight round of 16, quarters, semi-final.
Yeah, I think
knockout. But there's no way you can do that because the TV money would be cut in half because you only get however many games that is.
Yeah.
Right, I've been negative enough. I am a bit frustrated with it, but that's fine. What I am not frustrated by and what I loved is the actual rugby this weekend, which was epic. So let's talk about the other Premiership semi-final, Exeter v Sale. JB, first word to you. How was this to watch? When we started the podcast and in those early days, your team against,
the Blues?
Your team.
Benetton. Your two teams, your only 2 teams, your beloved Benetton and your beloved Blues, Auckland Blues, both won finals this weekend,
There
JB.
we go. So
how do you feel?
I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Something has been hanging over me.
Yeah.
No, I mean, as you well know, I'm neutral on all things Sale Sharks.
Nice Sale Sharks vest, by the way.
I just found this. How do I feel about this game? So, I did think that they would win. I thought they'd win mostly because they thought that they would win so much. And I think it highlights exactly how hard it is to win a Premiership and the trials and tribulations and as Andy said, your learnings. It's not even a word. You learn as you go through this process. Semi-finals are bloody hard. They're really hard. And Exeter found this out for years and years and years and years and years. And then they found out that finals are hard for years and years and years and years. And they've only just cracked it after, a decade at the top.
So
really.
They've been 6 consecutive Premiership finals now.
Yeah. So best part of a decade, they've been hammering on.
They've never lost a Premiership semi-final.
Wow.
Is that right?
They've never lost one.
Yeah,
and
so
they've
6
only ever
consecutive
had them at home as well.
No, there you go.
So they finished in the top 2 for
So
6
actually, they
consecutive
navigated the semis pretty easily.
But semis, but the final a bit more difficult.
Well, we'll ask Bristol about the semis, right? So that's where I think it is. They're gonna look at this. It wasn't a bad performance by any stretch. It just wasn't good enough. I think they'll all recognise it wasn't good enough, which is fine. You've got to learn. And you've got to build and come back better. But yeah,
build back better.
Oh no!
Oh God!
Oh no!
Oh God!
I guess
this will be D-ranked now. Actually, no. We've said the
Don't say
thing
anymore.
they want. That it'll get boosted.
Oh, yes.
It'll get boosted in the algorithms. They want to amplify that as much as possible. Build back better.
So disappointing for neutrals everywhere, but look, Exeter are awesome, aren't they? They're just awesome. They're just you can't walk away from that game and not think that is one hell of a team which Sale lost to.
So, just to put a Sale perspective on it for a second, the thing I think they'll be most frustrated is they stayed in the game for the whole. They were never until the last few minutes more than 10 points or more than 7 points behind. They were always kind of stayed within a score, so it was always within their reach. The bit that they'll be most frustrated about is the 2 tap and go tries. The Luke Cowan-Dickey one really early and the Jack Noel one, I think it was halfway through the second half, because those were just, they knew exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
And it was just mental fades, not getting off the line, not identifying and not hitting hard enough, that is core skills. That is the absolute basics.
Do you know what it reminded me of? Was a fight. And sometimes, you get into a rhythm and everything's going your way and that momentum carries you through, exactly like it was last week. Well, I don't know what Exeter did, but I'm pretty sure that Rob Baxter will have looked at last week and go, oh, right, okay, XYZ needs to happen, XYZ happened, and it will be the most basic, simple thing that you can imagine. It'll be literally the most basic thing in rugby stripped down, and he will have identified that, and that's what they will have done.
Well, there's 2 things there. Yes, you're absolutely right, and you get that from the way Rob Baxter speaks, that he's very process oriented, never gets too over the top emotionally, positively or negatively, very level guy, and so I totally agree. On the flip side, the emotional side of it came through in the form of, he said to his team, you guys cost Sam Skinner and Dave Ewers a Premiership final if we get there. you all need to take responsibility for that, because if our defence was doing what our defence should do, they would never have been in that situation.
Wow. Wow. Enjoy that best, fellas.
Yeah, well, no. So he put it on them. He was basically saying carry the responsibility for the disappointment these guys in our team are taking, and make sure you put it right.
Sanderson said something very, very similar this week about AJ McGinty. So AJ Acker,
definitely.
Cam Neild wasn't available. They had another one, did they? Doesn't really matter. And he said
dropped out before.
Oh, Sam James.
Back
Back spasm. And Sanderson's message was their injuries can't be in vain. I just love that. I love that message. And it's basically the same thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You've got to fight to make it like their suffering mistakes worth it.
It's just such a fascinating battle, this, because Sanderson is an incredible coach. He's a very, very good coach. Things going broadly his way.
And every time you hear him speak, you think, and he's very young still. You think,
yeah.
One day, England. One day.
Yeah.
One day.
Well, why not Baxter England one day? I don't know. Anyway, not that it matters. At this point. So
I don't not think that, by the way.
Yeah,
I would love that.
I would love Baxter.
I think Baxter's a man now.
It'd be sad to see him leave the Chiefs, but
yeah,
he could step up.
Sanderson's made his adjustments. Baxter's made his counter adjustments, and just Baxter came out on top, is what I think. Simple as that. Because the teams, I don't think that Exeter's team is much better than Sale. I don't think Sale's team last week was much better than Exeter. It's whatever they come with on that given day.
Well, just to give Rob Baxter credit, can we just say I don't think there's any other coach, possibly in world rugby, that would have dropped Stuart Hogg. Because I don't know about you, but when I saw that selection, I thought, I reckon he must have a bit of a niggle. But because it's a semi-final, they're like, oh, go on, we'll put him on the bench and hope that if he's needed, he's all right.
And there's no hiding it, was there? There's no hiding the ball. It's like, he didn't contribute enough.
Yeah,
and just think,
which is amazing.
It's amazing. And Jack Knoll was awesome. And and just imagine what all the headlines would be and what everyone would be saying had Jack Knoll had a big error which cost Exeter a win.
Yeah.
This is the Lions fullback, basically.
What's the John West saying? The John West slogan for their fish. It's not what we put in the can; it's what we leave out, right? Which I think is awesome. To be able to watch your team with such clarity and, just what's the word for it? Detachment, I guess, to make that call.
Objectivity.
Yeah, because I made this point on Twitter and someone came back at me and said, it's his job. That's what you should be paid to do. I was like, yeah, okay, granted, genius. But
what about other coaches who haven't finished, got qualified for the Premiership final 6 years in a row?
It's just a clear misunderstanding of what makes Rob Baxter great. Because so many other coaches would have looked at that and gone, well, they wouldn't have even looked at it. They'd have said, I've paid this guy. I've spent someone else's money. I've used up my salary cap. He's a lion. I mean, what is
the consequence? If this goes wrong, I will get so much crap.
Yeah. What does he say to Tony Rowe? Hey, Tony, do you have 400k that you give me every year to pay that guy? Well, he's on the bench. That's all right. Oh, and by the way, I've also lost. That's just not a good conversation. So he's made one hell of a call there. And not many coaches do that. That's why we always say that saying, money plays, because money plays. That's why they have. That's why it happens.
It does. If you are the big money player, you play.
Yeah.
And it was totally vindicated on all counts because Alex Cuthbert, Tom O'Flaherty, and Jack Knoll particularly were just awesome.
Yeah, they really were. And Cuthbert, who's had stick over the last few years, and he's leaving Exeter this year.
Yeah,
he has been brilliant. When he's been fit enough to get out on the field, he's looked magnificent. He's almost like looked back to the form that got him on the Lions playing back in 2013. In those opportunities that he's had for Exeter.
Fascinated how it's going to go now in selection for a Premiership final, because you've got, as I say, probably Stuart Hogg is the guy that you go, the first name on the team sheet for the Lions, the only position where there is no debate.
Jack Knoll, surely.
No, Stuart Hogg for years has been the number one first choice fullback in Europe if he's fit, and he's been playing that this season. He's been incredible this season, and for whatever reason, it's probably a lot more complicated than what Baxter gave across, but for the reasons that Baxter had, he chose not to select him for this game and chose to push Jack Knoll, who's had massive injury problems.
Hardly played.
Yeah, hardly played, and Knoll was brilliant. Actually, I think probably Hogg will play the next game. Jack Null might get moved to the wing. And Hogg will be even better because he'll be even more motivated to play and demonstrate why he is the best.
Yeah. That post-match by Rob Baxter makes me think that the final might not be much of a contest.
Oh, go on.
Well, the fact that you just said, we don't need to defend if... What was the same?
He was asked about Harlequins attacking
Yeah.
skill and how hard to defend that might be, what a challenge it will be to defend against a team that attack the way Quins do. And, yeah, he said along the lines of, well, you don't need to defend if you have the ball.
Yeah, it's over, isn't it? He's figured it out before they've even got there. And that's what he does. That's what he does. Like, anyone who doesn't think that this man is a rugby genius just does not know what they're talking about.
One of the things I loved in your interview with Baxter on Rugby Dungeon, which if you've not listened to it, go and listen to it, go and find it. Just, you can tell, he came across the amount of work he puts in to analyse all of his own players, all of the opposition players, any players that he is considering on getting. He must watch hours and hours and hours of game tape, and not just like we watch a game and we'll kind of get a flavour for how it's going, who's winning what battles, where teams are playing in a pitch. But he'll watch and just pick out one player and watch an 80-minute rugby focused on one player and he said, to analyse that.
What did he say to me? He said something like, when you watch rugby, and I mean really watch rugby. It's like,
not playing on Twitter, not chatting away with a pint, actually watch the specifics of what individuals are doing. And that's how Baxter sees the game. He's magnificent.
Yeah. I think it probably wouldn't, in talking about this game, it's probably worth also, and talking about what Rob Baxter has said, he had an opportunity to kind of clarify and crystallise his thoughts that he brought up earlier in the week regarding the disciplinary process, high tackle, officiating, which cost Sam Skinner and Dave Ewers their place in that final. And I think this said to me, so a lot of people went for him after the press day midweek because I think he was...
Oh, did he say something press day midweek as well?
Yeah, he said something press day midweek. That was reported, and a lot of people sort of went for him a bit. And I think part of that is he was just answering a journalist's question. And I guess my overall takeaway is Rob Baxter, between that press day conference midweek and the game when he was asked again after the match, he's had a chance to process his thoughts, which at the time he was just responding to a journalist and giving his answer in real time. And it just reminded me that we need to have a little bit of... Rob Baxter used the word, and I'll use it again, empathy, that sometimes when you're asked a question, you're working out what you think as you're saying it in real time, and you just need to give people a little bit of a leeway. Otherwise...
Hot debrief.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Otherwise, you'll get a situation where people don't want to share and don't want to talk, and I like the fact that Rob Baxter does. As it happens, I agree with him that there are flaws and failings, and I think he crystallised that and made that very clear after the game, and I totally agree with what he said.
I mean, I did struggle to follow his line of reasoning a little bit on that. And I've read it again. I think, what was he saying? That there was two guys who... I think he wants it done on outcome, from what I can tell. So there's two guys, i.e. Ewers and Skinner, both high shots, both bans, but no HIAs were issued to the receiving player, right?
Part of what he was talking about.
And yeah, he's got Richard Capstick, who's... it's a bad one, that. It's a real bad one.
He got properly
I tell you what, I'm amazed that's a yellow card, the current laws, I'm amazed that's a yellow card.
That one, I'm surprised is a yellow card. I said it before, but the Luke Northmore on Cialo Pietau, I was amazed, was not even a penalty.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw it was Ash Dixon on Otair Black in the...
That was the worst of the weekend.
Highlanders versus and that was a yellow card, and that... I'm astonished that was a red card.
So
it wasn't a red card.
My immediate reaction to all of this stuff, when I see it in writing, like, I can't believe the ref did this. I just want to time back and say, calm down. You're wrong. Rugby's a hard game. But actually, when I bothered to watch the OTR Black one before commenting, I usually do it the other way around. Comment. I was like, no. That is a red card. That is literally what we do not need in the game. Now I understand things happen. But that was a horrendous one.
Yeah. And it feels like we're slipping away from a position that we were in even a few months ago, where 90% of people could look at a challenge. If you are up to date with watching rugby and you're not someone who watches the Six Nations once a year, if you're up to date with it, you could look at all three of those challenges and maybe the Luke Northmore one a little bit less, maybe the Tuilagi one, but you'd say, yeah, yellow, red, or red, or like you would know.
If
of
you
a
asked
certain
100 people
standard.
to press red, yellow, or nothing,
yeah.
like you would get a plurality
Correct
answer.
Yes, but in those three, you had not even a penalty, a yellow card, and a yellow card that could easily have been a three reds. And that
there is
that inconsistency.
To me, there's a massive disconnect, and I think this is where Rob Baxter is 100% right, between what the authorities want, and they say it's evidence-driven or whatnot, and I'm not convinced that it is evidence-driven. I think it's...
Well, I'll clarify what he meant by
Right.
that evidence-driven in a minute, but finish point, sorry.
And that they need to talk to the current crop of players. The problem with saying that we need to talk to the current crop of players is we do talk to the current crop of players. We do it via the RPA. But I'm not convinced that that is a reasonable... I don't think it's a reasonable representation of what actually the players think. Because you see it with the framework, and when Barnes did this, it really annoyed me. When they say, well, where's the support for this? Because, well, actually, we've got support off this guy, this guy. It's like they've lined up all these names and all these players and say, aha, well, these guys disagree with you. It's almost like they're being used, or, like they're a sort of like a player shield for the validity of what the authorities want to do anyway. I'm not saying the authorities are wrong, and I'm also not entirely sure how useful it is to have the views of 20-year-old hyper-masculine super athletes designing safety protocols. But I still don't think that the players or the system accurately represents what the players probably think or want.
On the kind of sanctions and the aftermath, one thing which Rob Baxter was talking about, which I can try and summarise in the context of Sam Skinner and Dave Ewers, is when they went to the disciplinary hearing and both players got a 4-week ban. I mean, firstly, if you talk about the sort of judicial system, contesting a ban shouldn't be shouldn't, if you aren't successful, mean you get weeks added on.
This is the argument against
that's awful.
It's the argument against the plea bargain, isn't it? Hey, just take this and be a good boy. I heard it the other day. Someone's it's a fixed penalty notice for some such thing. I can't remember what it was. Like, yeah, just take it. Like, no, because I'm not guilty. But then the process is the punishment.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Like, they don't think they're guilty. So shall we just have a look at what the evidence is, and if they are guilty, and if they're not guilty, well, we'll make a judgment based on that.
You shouldn't get weeks added on, which is what happened.
Because
to
it's
both
not
of these
premeditated,
players.
is it?
Totally. But Rob Baxter said, and I think he's on the money on this one. He said, in the case of Sam Skinner's, Exeter gave reasons that actually there's all these things that mean it shouldn't be upheld as a red card. This is what we believe. This, and they said, well, referee's evidence was compelling. When it came to the Dave Ewers one, the RFU Paul Hull, the citing commissioner guy, said, yeah, we're ignoring the referee evidence on this one because I've decided that it's something else.
What? Okay, yeah.
And so it's kind of double jeopardy. You'll get stung one way or you'll get stung the other way, and that's an imbalance. But my overall thought on the sanctions and the sightings is I just have unbelievable levels of sympathy for any player. I would feel sympathy for Manu Tuolangi if he missed the final, had Sale got through, and he got a red, and let's say it went to citing, got a red card or whatever.
I think Manu Tuolangi should be cited for that, right?
Well, yeah, he should, and maybe that one's a bit more reckless than the other two. But my point being is sometimes the red card within a game, unless it's, as I'll come back to what Phil always talks about, and I've stolen this from you, and I use it all the time now, the coaching point. You can't give a coaching point to Sam Skinner, and he's now not playing in a Premiership final because he made a mistake. He got the red card on the day. That's punishment enough. Next week, you're not going to make him tackle differently by meaning all that work he's done for his whole career means he doesn't get to take part in a Premiership final.
Why is red card not an automatic 3-game ban anyway? Or 2-game ban? Well, it was.
Well, why should it be?
It always is, isn't it? Red card's pretty serious. It's like the most serious thing you can do on a field.
Well, it shouldn't be.
It does go to a committee. As in, it goes to a hearing. Because it could be a red card that could be a 2-game ban, or a red card that's a 52-week ban.
Well, the other element is that in Dave Ewers' case, he strongly talked about that he was going to be in the England squad and playing for England. It's just think what that's cost him, and these guys are playing in an unbelievably fast, dynamic game, and I just think punitively taking away future games from them in most cases. Yes, if someone walks up and, like Andre Esterhazen, great example, elbowed someone in the head. Absolutely no need.
Yeah.
That was...
Well, and you make some good points here. So, like, I'll give you an example. There was a winger which I saw who tried to trip someone up. Right? Can't remember who it was, but he tried to trip someone up. That to me is clear and obvious foul play. It should be dealt with.
So basically, if you're a bit of a shithouse, do it.
Well, I
If
don't
you
think
gouge someone's eye, fish hook them, if you grab their nuts, if you punch them.
I don't think the red cards we're seeing, and the problem is, it's very hard to judge intent. It's really, really hard to say, was that deliberate or was that not deliberate? Because, like, Manu Tuolangi's one, I obviously do not think that's deliberate.
No.
But it could have been.
It could
It absolutely could have been.
But on most of them, you don't need to judge intent. Certainly, within the laws of the play, you don't need to judge intent. And then you would only ever try and determine intent if you think there was intent, because it's going to lead to a pretty long ban. For most of these, intent doesn't come into it. Like the Ewers, the Skinner, the Tuolagi one.
And that's the problem, isn't it? You've got these enormous men. And this is the problem with props, like when Kieran Brooks got his red card, and he's just on the edge of a ruck. Someone's coming around the corner, very quick, very dynamic, powerful, nippy back. He's got to change his level, and I just don't think these big guys can do it. And I wonder if there is actually a movement in rugby from people higher up to think, if maybe this can be a tool to slim the players down, get them less powerful, get them more.
Well, I'd use a stick rather than a carrot and increase the ball in play time there. But yeah, anyway.
Carrot rather than a stick.
Carrot rather than a stick, sorry.
Or maybe a carrot tied onto a stick.
And not a baton, a stick of carrot.
Yes, quite.
Or an enormous stick that's actually a carrot painted orange. Or no, the other way around.
Yes,
an enormous carrot that's actually a stick painted orange.
Can I give you a real very quick, boring bit of psychology? So
yes, of course.
Two tennis players, when you're receiving a shot from someone in tennis, you're processing how fast the ball's coming at you, the direction where you need to be aware, and this is all happening in microseconds. Those times when the ball hits the tape of the net and changes direction, so you have to readjust and go. Oh, I need to be there.
Yeah,
that's called a refractory period, and it happens in milliseconds in your brain. And that's tennis when there are very few variables involved. So a refractory period of going, change of circumstances. Now I need to readjust and do something different. In rugby, you've got 29 other guys constantly moving all the time. Those refractory periods are happening on unbelievable levels. The guys, just to be on the field playing at that speed in that sport, are some of the most gifted athletes, mentally and physically, on earth. And that's where the empathy should come in, because Sam Skinner is not playing in a Premiership final next week, and I feel unbelievably sorry for him when you think about the hours that he's put in, the sacrifices that he's made, and you can give him a red card if that's what the laws dictate, fine. But should we be handing guys like that 4-week bans?
It seems unfair, that. It does seem like the red card in itself, even though I just said I thought there was an automatic ban which comes with a red card. But yeah, I would be happy for him to just be red carded. Okay, next game you're back. But like the Manu one, I think it's a good argument for a 3-game ban there.
I think he probably will get cited.
Although
at least that would be consistent with the Dave Ewers one.
I will say this though, I wouldn't be surprised if nothing happens because he's out. There's no more Premiership.
Yeah, although again, whatever you do, you've got to be consistent.
Yeah. So like if they went through to the final,
things.
he probably would get cited. Because he's not, I wonder if they just go, yeah, it's fine, whatever.
Just a little bit of devil's advocate. I do get the empathy argument, Tim. There is empathy. The problem with empathy is you can only do it one way, as in you have empathy with Skinner or Ewers or Tuilagi. There's empathy for Richard Capstick, who is also going to be missing a final through absolutely no fault of his own, because he's been clocked by Tuilagi.
Potentially, Janis Kirsten managed to fail an HIA and play this week as well.
Yeah, interesting.
Through the protocols.
Yeah, it's possible.
It's possible, but Capstick was Bambi on ice.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd want if he doesn't. I mean, there are protocols. You're right, but yeah, there's that is the problem with empathy. That you have empathy in one side, you need to have it in both directions, which is very difficult.
Don Armand could be playing in a Premiership final again.
Good for him.
Which is the Don Armand thing is incredible. That he was such a talented player. He actually did play for England, albeit I think he played for about 8 minutes.
He played in the game that Tom Curry made his debut in.
Did he?
That game in Argentina.
He played another one. He played one
France.
of the Six Nations.
Oh, he played Six Nations game against France.
But that was only 2 or 3 years ago, and it feels like he's been kind of moved back in the Exeter hierarchy. When it was last season, he was basically kind of captain in the B team when they went 1A and 1B. And obviously Exeter's B team was amazing still, but it was the B team.
Well, that does speak to Exeter, doesn't it, as well? The fact that a guy who was an international a few years ago, such a senior player, Premiership player of the Year contender or best in his position and all the rest of it, had podcasts like ours clamouring for international inclusion.
Yeah.
And he obviously isn't in much lower down in the pecking order, and obviously still working hard, still training, still contributing, still ready when called upon. That says amazing. A lot about that whole organisation.
It's nice to have a spare Don Armand knocking around the bench.
It helps, doesn't it? Well, it's like having another Curry.
Yeah, it really is. A third one. Again, like he's just been on the wrong end of 2 great signings in Kirsten and Vermaelen.
Vermeulen,
Who've just been great. And now, I don't know, if he plays his cards right, what's he, 31 now? He could be knocking around Exeter for another 3 or 4 years, just being a backup, looking after his body, not playing that often.
Yeah.
There are worse jobs in rugby.
Oh, absolutely. Not getting the miles on the clock. How old is he?
31.
Is he?
I would guess.
I would have guessed 32.
If I look at my Don Armand fact book, I'm pretty sure.
Let's have a quick look. He is 32.
Oh.
33 in 3 months.
Friend of the pod, Don Armand.
Yes.
Premiership final.
Yeah,
it's good to see.
He can get another 3-4 years, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially if he's managed.
Did you think Manu Tuolangi was just a bit?
I thought he was rubbish.
Bit off like mentally a bit off.
He was
just somewhere else yesterday.
He was. He still does good things. Still, I think you're right when we say mentally he's a bit off. I think he just wanted. He was trying too hard. That's what it came off as. He just trying too hard and it wasn't.
Because there was
working.
There was late hits. There was elbows to the face on the
deck.
Wrestling
on the floor.
Wrestling on the floor. There's all sorts of stuff. You go, just do your job.
Yeah. I wonder if they would. Samson said this about Sale against La Rochelle. Emotionally, they weren't there. They were just too wound up. When they came out for second half, they would just get too excited. And certainly in Manu Tuolangi's case, I don't know what the breakdown of this game will be, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was the outcome.
Yeah, he didn't have his best game, did he?
Can I talk about some massive positives for Sale?
Yes.
All of the chat about South Africans, rightly so, because they're bloody good players. They finished that game with Rafi Quirk. Kieran Wilkinson came on.
Yeah.
Quirk, sorry. Kieran Wilkinson comes on. He looked bloody great for 10 minutes.
He looked lively.
Didn't he?
Really lively.
So that's only his second Premiership game. James Harper came on.
Who looks massive.
He is massive, yes, correct. He's absolutely massive. I was talking to one of their other props about him the other day, and they just said he is super strong. He is legitimate. A few years ago, he was playing 8s, jumping in lineouts and all sorts.
He won't be getting lifted anytime soon.
Bevan Rod, Ewan Ashman, Curtis Langdon. There's some bloody good players. Now, I don't think Sale are unique in this. I think actually what it really says is that any club who can retain their crop of youngsters, and a lot of clubs often either make the wrong decisions or, like in London Irish's case, they lose them because someone else has enough money to snaffle them up.
Yeah.
As long as you can keep your youngsters, you'll pretty much do absolutely fine.
And it leads on nicely to, did either of you see the England under-20s versus France under-20s?
No.
This week?
I didn't actually.
So France under-20s have been incredibly successful for the last few years. Obviously, they've bred a lot of the young talent that has propelled the French teams, Toulouse, La Rochelle, Bordeaux, a little bit less so Racing 92, but all of those teams to the top of Europe. And England won 38-22 in a very impressive performance. With only, I was looking through the team, there's only a handful of names that you'll recognise.
Who would I know?
So you'll recognise the 9 and 10 combination because they've both played a bit of Premiership this season.
Bailey.
Atkinson.
So Bailey was playing, but not a 10.
12? 15?
He's playing 15. Orlando Bailey played 15, but the 9 and 10 have played for Leicester and Worcester, respectively.
Van Portfleet and Finn Smith.
Correct, yeah. Other than that, so you'll know the 12 but not because he's played Premiership. You'll know him because he could have been in your quiz, Tim.
He could have been in your quiz, so he wasn't in your quiz.
He's not. He's
Max
not.
Jomo?
No,
No, he's not playing the.
So he normally plays 10. He's not played Premiership. He has a famous dad.
Who on earth is that? Don't know.
His dad, former England coach.
Robert. No. Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Oh, wow.
Stuart and Dan.
Dan Lancaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other sale guys in there?
I don't know is the honest answer. No one that I recognise. So I'll give you the names. Lewis Halsey, Archie Vans, who I think is Tigers, Luke Green, Ewan Richards, Alex Groves, Freddie Thomas, Lucas Brook, Jack Clement, Jack Van Portfleet.
Jack Clement, Gloucester. He's played Premiership.
Yeah, he has, yes. Finn Smith, centre of Dan Lancaster and Jack Bates, Arthur Relton on one wing with Diego Bailey on the other wing and
Orlando and Diego.
Wow.
So I don't think they're brothers.
Lies.
What? Hold on.
No.
How
There's
can
no
they
way
both
they're
be
not.
called Bailey? One of them be Orlando and one of them be was it
Diego.
Diego.
They are 100%
Come on.
brothers, mate.
And their parents.
But they'd have to be twins.
One's like yeah.
There's no way they're not brothers.
One was on a trip to Disneyland that they got conceived, and the other one was on a trip to
I'm pretty
a
certain
conference in San Diego.
I'm pretty certain they're not brothers.
Where's Diego Garcia? What's Diego? Is that an island somewhere?
Diego Bailey and Orlando Bailey, and they're not related.
Well,
no, they're definitely not related. Clearly,
yeah, that's Diego Bailey.
I mean,
they
it's possible.
They might be.
It's possible.
they might have the same mum.
Yeah,
Brothers from another mother.
Then they've got to be twins because of the age group they're playing in.
Oh yeah, good point.
Unless one of them's like 16.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're related. So
They may
stand
well
down, Phil.
They may well be related.
Wow.
Yeah, Diego and Orlando.
Yeah.
And
On nights out, on
Austin
nights out,
Bailey.
right? They better pull that we're brothers.
Yeah.
that card better come out, and they can whip out their bank cards and whatnot, and they can do some crazy story.
Phil Falconer-Singer as well was playing on the bench.
He's played a couple of Premiership games as well.
He has. He's looked good when he's played.
Yeah.
Played at 12 for London Irish.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Promising
Yes.
stuff. Promising stuff.
Any games this week?
Well, yeah. Just on this, is there anything else you want to talk about? Because I agree. No, it's fine. We've got the Premiership final. Let's talk about the Premiership final.
Let's talk about the Premiership final. Well, actually, there's one other final before that, which is a repeat of the Heineken Cup final, which is
Oh yeah, the top 14 semi-finals happen this weekend.
Yeah.
Friday night, which is a great time to have a top 14 final. So I'll be looking.
Is it
forward-
really?
Yeah, it is. It's La
Brilliant.
Rochelle against
Awesome.
Toulouse on a Friday
Toulouse.
night,
Toulouse with probably no Intermac.
which is tough.
No Romain Intermac. Not. It was Theo Intermac.
It was Theo. Well
By
done.
the
Theo,
way,
the number 8.
Diego Garcia is an island.
Yes, it is. But something is a military base there.
If you know that, then probably.
I'm pretty sure there's a
More than
military base.
likely.
Maybe Diego Bailey's dad served for the U.S. military.
Maybe.
I'm sure Diego is it not British? I think it's a British possession which is lent to the Americans. That's what I think it is. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
So top 14 final.
Yep.
Repeat result.
Repeat result. Yeah. Go with that.
Yeah, go with that.
And then Premiership final.
Premiership final. I really hope it lives up to the billing.
Yeah.
We've had two incredibly good semi-finals, and the matchups
Yep.
made it. This is a cross-fertilization of the matchups. You've got two
It
very
is.
different teams. and
Yeah.
I wonder whether that changes the dynamic of the game.
I suspect it will. I suspect it will change it heavily.
It's two teams trying to negate the other one. Is it two teams that are trying to negate each other or trying to amplify what they do enough to...
One of each. One.
I think Exeter are going to do both.
Yeah.
As in, by Exeter negating what Quins do, they're going to amplify what they do because they're just going to retain the ball.
Exeter are going to be basically negate and destroy. And then Harlequins, who knows? Generally, who knows? I don't know. I can't see a way for them to beat Exeter. But I also couldn't see... Well, I could see a way for them to beat Bristol. I thought it was unlikely.
I could not see a way for them to beat Bristol. I got it totally wrong.
So
I'm just remembering the game at the Stoop was an awesome game, actually. Quins v Exeter. And I think Exeter got a very, very late win. Might have been Joe Simmons.
all right.
It was but if I remember rightly, it was very close and very late, and Harlequins managed to keep scoring. And
So I think all three of us can build a nice case for why Exeter will win this. I think we all know that.
Yes.
Let's build the case for why Harlequins can win this.
Yep.
Okay. So where could they possibly find chinks in Exeter's armour? And if we've spotted this, sadly, I reckon that probably, but not definitely, Rob Bax has spotted this too. The kicking game of Smith, I think, if he can start moving them about a bit, that would be one thing. If you can find spaces behind the two wingers, it makes you think though, doesn't it? If they've got Jack Noel at fullback and then they bring Hogg in at actual fullback and they move Jack Noel onto a wing, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, very difficult.
offloads are like Quins have got to stay brave, and that's what I found so impressive about them. When you're 28 points down, you throw caution to the wind a little bit, but when you're only 7 points down and they were looking for that one score with time running out, the way that they still gave really risky offloads that had massive upsides if they were pulled off, but high degree of risk.
I can't quite believe I'm saying this, but I actually think that Harlequins have got a better shot at the scrum than Sale did. Sale got beaten up quite badly, particularly on the loose head side with Harry Williams.
You've got to get those foundations right. But what I hope is that in a final, if Quins go brave and throw those 50-50 balls, that's what they have to do.
But they've got to win. They've got to win.
They've
got to win the collisions first, haven't they? They've got to win the collisions, and they've got to
and
they've got to get that fast ball. And the question is, how do they manipulate that Exeter team? It's bloody difficult. Maybe the kicking game of Smith makes them drop enough players back in order to then get some momentum going forward.
Exeter have the best defence in the Premiership. Quins have the highest scoring attack in the Premiership. I think the flip side, the inverse of those though, Quins are leaky at the back, and Exeter score lots of points. They're second best point and try scorers behind Quins. So when I look at that, I think Exeter can negate Quins' weakness more than Quins can Exeter's.
I've had a thought.
Strength, sorry.
I've had a thought. An absolute wild card to get them over the line.
The guy who's back.
Esterhazen's back.
Yeah, he is back.
Oh my word, he is.
He is.
That all of a sudden does change quite a few pictures, doesn't it, when he's charging over the line between Simmons and Devoto?
Yeah.
There again.
He will be very useful.
Simmons and Devoto didn't exactly struggle with Manu and Rowan.
Yeah.
Like, Rowan had more success than Manu.
He did. Yeah.
So maybe I'm reading too much into one big man.
But largely because Tuolangi was there a lot of the time.
Maybe.
So what you need to do is put Esterhazen in the 12 and 13 channel at the same time. And one Esterhazen will have...
Is that possible?
Maybe some cloning techniques.
Esterhazen and Larchen are a nice combination, actually.
Yeah.
Very balanced.
With Smith. That is a midfield combo, actually, which I'd take over Sales, Dupria, Manu and Rowan every day of the week. At the moment.
It's more balanced as well.
I'd take it over... Would I take it over Simmons, Devoto, and Slade? That's a good matchup.
And Slade is one that gives you the magic.
Yeah, he's just class.
Yeah, he had a nice little kick for the corner again.
Yeah, he did. Backed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are various elements of the Quins team which I quite like.
Front row is great.
Actually, Scott Baldwin's great.
Vilko Lowe is great. Marler is great.
Yeah, if those guys can get parity, who knows? I guess what Exeter don't need to do is chase the game.
No.
That is when things will go wrong.
They actually need to trust their systems, trust their process. Because it's interesting. I mean, think back 6 months, just over 6 months, because we had a similar position where we had in the Premiership final last year, we had Exeter's very strong favourites. We had Wasps in the final they were playing amazing rugby at the time, but they were still pretty heavy underdogs. And Exeter only just won. It was 1 or 2 points in it.
Not dissimilar to Harlequins, actually.
No, not dissimilar at all. So we have seen this, and Wasps made it really, really difficult. Wasp's strength at that point in time was the work around the breakdown and slowing and disrupting the opposition, which they did to great effect. And Exeter even now still struggle.
God, I bet
around
they
the
wish
breakdown.
they had. I bet they wish that they had Will Evans to deploy.
Yes, Will Evans would be great in a game like this.
I have just realised I got my Harlequins v Exeter games mixed up. The one I was thinking of was the back end of last season, because Quins v Exeter this season was the first game of the season with Sam Simmons'
amazing solo try.
and I think Exeter battered them, if I
Yeah.
remember rightly.
It was about 40 points.
Let's just pretend Harlequins win this, right? Let's just pretend that this is a thing that happens. Harlequins win.
Okay.
Monday morning, Monday after the final.
Yeah.
There's every club in the league fire their DOR. En masse. A mass
Um,
exodus of DOR.
You can only fire your DOR if you've got Marcus Smith. Or someone equally as talented.
Yeah,
That would be
maybe.
my shout.
Or do they just make Marcus Smith DOR?
Make him whatever you want. Make him CEO.
CEO, DOR,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I still can't believe they re-signed Marcus Smith without a DOR.
I know.
That is some work by Harlequins.
It's some bit of business, that. Because that was the perfect time for Marcus Smith to go to France for a few years.
Yeah.
Have an enormous, like £1 million a year contract.
It's the Maserati parking spaces.
Isn't it?
That's
Someone
it.
said to me, "Oh, they're driving Maseratis. They obviously earn too much." Well, someone doesn't understand that they get subsidised parking.
Exactly.
So it's cost neutral.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unbelievable comment that.
And you have to pay 19 quid just to take your car off your driveway in London. Now, anyway, so imagine
Oh,
how
of
much the
course.
parking costs.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant little marketing ploy by the Harlequins. It's going to be Exeter. It's going to be Exeter by 10 points.
Yes. At least 10, I think.
I think Exeter will win. I hope it's as crazy as the other semi-finals have been. And I think this is probably absolutely on the money. Paul, friend of the pod, Paul Miller. Hello,
Miller.
Paul. What a boy. He said, Quins don't look to manipulate anything. It's chaos theory. I think that's a good point.
But it wasn't chaos theory first half, was it? They looked so predictable and
No, they were
plodding.
reeling Bristol in.
rope-a-dope.
Let's give them a lead rope-a-dope. Let Pat Lam pull off all the players.
By the way, Pat Lam, we haven't spoken about this, so obviously I've gone off Pat Lam a little bit post Tempest Gate.
Have the Emperor's clothes? Has the Emperor
Got no
Well,
clothes or
you
whatever
know
it
what
is?
I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to
Is
say?
is the Emperor undressed but doesn't recognise it himself?
Yes.
Maybe. Maybe. His in-game chat was almost cringeworthy because it was trying to be so genuine and, what's the word for it, like, humble.
Sincere.
Sincere and
Yeah.
humble. It's a great game of rugby. We all love the game of rugby. But he's odds on to win. It was a little bit... It had shades of Kieran Reid.
I knew you were going to say
Shades of
Kieran.
Kieran Reid. Hey, it's just a game of rugby, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. What?
Tough luck. I still think Pat Lam is class. I think he will learn from that. I think he got a few things wrong in that game. But I think
you have to judge him as a whole.
I think they're on a journey.
Yeah, he's still an
Yeah.
incredible coach. There's no two ways about it. I just think that we have seen a different side to him now, and it's not all positive. It's majority positive, and I think the negatives don't outweigh the positives. But
even the negative, it's negative because it's like hypocritical compared to how he presents himself. But if I'm a Bristol fan, I want him to do everything that he can possibly do to give Bristol the best chance of winning, and that's what I fundamentally believe he does. I just think he was misguided, and he
I don't think
got
it's
a few
that.
calls wrong.
I think it shows him in a rather controlling light. That's what I think. I think it's not the hypocrisy is poor. The fact that he wouldn't just back down and say, "Look, I will never ever do that again to a ref. I was in the wrong," because everyone can do something wrong in that time.
Yeah.
Before
Before the hot
Let him
Yeah.
without sin cast the first stone and all that.
Goodness me, if we can't judge people like that.
Yeah.
But I do think it does show, and his what he said subsequent to it, a little bit of a guy who likes to control things to the nth degree. That's sometimes very, very good. Sometimes it's not.
Yes.
His team plays awesome rugby.
His team does play awesome rugby. And I
Yeah.
guess, like I say, whatever the negatives are, and I'm sure there are some now, they don't outweigh the positives.
Yes.
Agreed.
There is another game this weekend
Yeah. I'll be there for this one.
up in
Lions?
Edinburgh.
I'll be in Edinburgh.
Really? Doing what?
Working for Talk Sport.
Oh, wow. What exactly is it that you're doing there?
Just hosting the programme.
Oh, nice. Very
Awesome.
nice.
And then I'll be doing daily shows throughout the Lions tour.
Who are you working with?
Well, a rotating.
You're the constant, though, right?
I'm the constant.
Yeah, you're
and
the
there's
rock.
Saria McGeechan
Uh-huh.
and Ben Kay and Tommy Bow.
Ooh, Tommy Bow's cool.
James Haskell
Nice.
and Brian Habana,
Awesome.
Jamie Roberts,
Nice.
and many others. And maybe I might need some
Sale Shocks.
might need
chat.
some Sale Sharks fans
Do you know,
to talk about South Africa.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you know, I really hate it when people ask me questions about anything now which isn't Premiership. So I feel I don't know anything. It's particularly when I go back to Wales and people want ask me about the Welsh team. I don't know, who these people are. I'm not even too sure what England are going to do, let alone the Lions.
Well, England. Have you seen the changes to England's squad? That have
Yes.
just been announced
Curry,
today.
Rod, and Langdon are in.
Yes.
Ben Curry,
What else?
Ben Curry. So,
Slight Holmes in, Hassel Collins out,
yeah.
and Manu's in.
So, yeah, I've got a list in front of me. Let me read it up.
Mano in
you know-
for now, unless he gets a ban.
Yes. So Will Capon has been called up. Max Malins, Harry Randall, obviously from Bristol, who are now out.
Yeah.
Ben Curry, Curtis Langdon, Bevan Rod, and Manu Tuilagi. And then, so interestingly, George Furbank and Ollie Slightholme have been called up, but there's been a few players released. Now, these haven't been released with, as far as I've read, with any injuries or anything like that. This is a form decision based on what Eddie's seen. So the ones released are Gabriel Ogre, who was in for Jack Singleton, who didn't make it. Tom Willis, Tom de Glanville, Fraser Dingwall, Ollie Hassel-Collins, Tom Parton, and Ben Spencer.
I read the Ben Spencer one and I thought, gut punch again.
Yeah, Ben Spencer. He's such a good player, but he's just...
When he wants to move back to Harlequins, back to Saracens. Mind you, he didn't get a call up in Saracens. He's not got a call up in Bath.
Well, he did. He got called up for the World Cup final, didn't he?
Yeah.
But as our last roll of the dice kind of thing, it's an interesting one. I mean, maybe it does show that Owen Farrell hates him.
Owen Farrell, right? We've gone. What must Owen Farrell say to Eddie about Ben Spencer? Hey Owen, do you know any good scrum offs? No.
I did notice he's not been called up for the Lions either.
There you go. I mean, like if I played rugby with you, Phil, and the coach, the representative coach said, "Do you know any good centres?" Just because you're my mate, I would say you've got to talk to Phil. You've got to talk to Phil. He can do this. That,
It's
and the
funny. I would definitely say if I got asked, "Do you know anyone who can play 1 through to 15?" I would say Tim Cocker is your man.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Have I told you? I have told you. I'll tell you again. When I was 21. No, it must have been 20. I was 20 because it's in the 20s. I was coming off the pitch at Colwyn Bay, and I was 20. And North Wales were looking for under 21 players, and I heard the chat. Okay, and our coach Mark Earl was walking in front of us, and he's having a chat to our club captain Hugh. And like, who do we have? Spins around to me, JB. Do you know any under 21 players? Like, no, I don't, Mark. No, I don't. I thought that was my call.
Oh.
They made the North Wales team.
I remember.
Rightly so, as a wing though. Terrible.
I remember being at essentially. I won't mention the name of the coach or the players.
Name them.
but,
Name them.
Well, actually, I will say the coach because he left as he abandoned the ship. It was Clive Griffiths.
I thought you were going to say Clive Griffiths.
And so we had a load of injuries in the back three position. I was back three and I was out injured, unfortunately. And Clive sent a message to the team manager saying, "Oh, we're missing XYZ in the back three. We're only left with Joe Bloggs, John Smith." So that was a private message between those two. And then the team manager forwarded the whole email chain on to the whole squad to say, "Boys, meet time is this, meet time is that." And everyone read down, and 3 messages down the chain was, "We're left with Joe Smith."
We're screwed. We've only got...
basically, we're screwed because we've only got these boys.
Heartbreak.
Yeah, and these boys, it's like being called up, play for the first team for the first time, and they're just getting slated by the manager.
Well, Chris Jones. Chris Jones, was that the guy who played for Sale?
Yes.
Yeah.
He got dropped by the team.
Type 5.
That's the one. He got
Off.
dropped by the England team doctor because the doctor had received like the list of people who were going to get treatment. Chris Jones comes in for treatment with the doctor and goes, "Oh yeah, you won't be needed. You'll be going, you'll be going for treatment with your club doctor."
Well,
Oh right, okay, thanks.
have you watched any of the England rugby videos that they've put out this week?
No.
So they've only put a few little ones out thus far because obviously the team met for a few days last week. But there was an interesting one with Chunya Munga, the London Irish second row who got called up. He basically said he found out because he got called in for a fitness testing session with the England club doctor. The England club doctor went to London Irish, tested his fitness, and that's like obviously a very positive sign.
It is a pretty positive.
It's like
sign.
him, Ollie Hassel-Collins, Tom Parton getting tested, and then the team came out like an hour later. He got an email an hour later.
Wow. I wonder if that was just to make
Wonder
sure
what
he
they
could
were
actually.
checking for.
Yeah. Whether he actually gets a score like this guy's 96 fit according to the top trumps here, or is it just make sure he could actually function and he was
Yeah,
carrying injuries?
there's no hidden injuries or
Yeah.
anything like that.
How interesting. Well, because they've got to pay him some money.
Exactly. Yeah, he's going into camp. I think you can't take dead wood into camp.
Yeah. So what are you saying about this Lions game then, Tim?
So Japan have already played a game.
Yeah, but it didn't look very good.
Yeah, so they played against the Sunwolves. They won. And this is a Sunwolves team that are no longer in Super Rugby. They won 30-something, 15 or something. It was
Yeah.
32-14, something like that.
But Japan haven't played since the World Cup.
Yeah, but
Other than that,
they've been training. They were missing 3 of their best players from the World Cup. Himeno, who was starting for your beloved Highlanders in the final this weekend. Matsushima, who's obviously at Claremont. Now, I assume those 2 will be available, but I don't actually know.
Is the doctor available? Is he quite
No,
now?
Kinki Fukioka,
Yeah.
retired age, whatever he is, 28.
He only retired like a week ago.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago after playing
Idiots.
in the
Oh,
final.
hang on, no, sorry, he's not an idiot. You know, called him an idiot then because I was thinking a Lions tour. No, it's a one-off game.
It's a one-off game against the
What am I
Lions.
talking about? It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll have Matsushima and
I
Himeno
hope
back.
I hope they're competitive.
I think they will be.
I think they'll be reasonably competitive. I think. I mean, I don't know what sort of team the Lions will pick, but
Is the South Korean prop playing?
No idea.
Read the props names.
For Japan.
Yeah. I only know he's South Korean because of his name. His name is South Korean.
Ooh, give me 1 sec. It was last week. There we go.
oh, I know the guy. Blonde little. He had the bleached blonde beard.
No, not. I don't. No. I know who you're thinking of. No, it's not him. I think he's usually a starter, and that guy comes on afterwards.
South Korean. So the props are Kita Inagaki
Nope, not him.
and
Oh, he's great. He's a really good player.
Aseli Valu
Nope, not him.
and Kasuke Horikoshi.
Nope, not him.
Oh no, sorry, he's the hooker. The other props are Shinosuke Kakinaga,
No.
and I don't think this guy's South Korean. He's called Craig Miller.
That's the one.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. There's going to be 22,500 people. In fact, that's one thing we can't leave before we quickly talk about the Premiership final and the ticket farce. 20,000 tickets they sold. Now 10,000 have been taken off of people that had got a ticket.
I imagine this is something to do with Twickenham Station. It has to be, right?
I don't know, but
'Cause-
it was they refused to grant it test status because we're still in.
Wimbledon's going to be full for the final, I believe.
Yeah,
Other stadiums have had
Edgbaston, Walsall.
25,000 at
I'd-
Wembley the other day, and
I know this is red rag to a bull now, so I'm going to be careful. But as I understand it, and I might be peddling conspiracy theories here, I'm pretty sure that Matt Hancock and another cabinet minister went to the football. I'm pretty sure that I saw
Keir Starmer.
was
at the football.
at the football.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that I saw the G8 without their masks wandering around having drinks on a bloody beach. It is one rule for one and another rule for... it absolutely stinks.
Well,
It absolutely stinks.
it stops when people stop accepting it. And
Correct.
there's too many people that are just accepting it and complying. Yes, sir. Being told to jump and saying how high. It's not on. It's not on. It's outrageous.
As for the Twickenham thing, I strongly suspect what has happened here is there is a pinch point because that's what they talk about, isn't it? It's not necessarily the capacity. It's not like
Yeah.
hey, we've got 80,000 seats, we can get 40,000 in. It's the fact that they've all got to go to Twickenham Station or what.
Yeah,
it is.
one of the nearby stations.
Yeah.
But even so,
Pathetic, absolutely pathetic.
Yeah, well, but you've got an you've got an 80 odd thousand stadium. Yeah,
You know, Premiership.
is Twickenham got that many more pressure points? Bearing in mind it deals with
I think it does
massive, like much more of a pressure point than Wimbledon Station.
actually. I think it probably does. To be fair, because you've got more people at one time. I mean, I'm guessing. I don't know unless I did. I know Twickenham Station is an absolute disaster zone.
yeah.
Maybe get on top of it before you sell 20,000,
Well,
and then
that
have to
would be
tell
it.
10,000
Yeah.
people they can't come.
Yeah, completely. I mean, if you remember the first Harlequins game when they had fans?
Yeah, I
they
was
had to be
there.
in like 3 hours before.
Yeah, well, they
Yeah.
staggered the start times. You had to arrive at different times.
So you can do things like that, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like I don't know. It just I don't.
well,
know.
I mean, let's
It is
ask.
classic Premiership rugby though.
Let's ask the baseball teams in Texas and Florida who are having 50,000 people every few days. Let's ask them how they're managing it.
I'll tell you what the test is, right? It's if the government waive those 2,500
UEFA officials.
waiver officials. I mean, I don't know what I can do. I don't know what I can do, but I won't be happy. I will not be happy.
And-
You're going to
and-
continue to be
I will
very
be-
angry.
I'll be very angry about it.
Write a strongly worded letter.
I will say something on the podcast. I guarantee it.
And of the 10,000 people that are going to be at Twickenham, or however many it ends up being, how many of them will? What proportion of them will be the? What proportion of the hospitality guests will have been told, "Sorry, we can't accommodate you"?
Funny enough, I went to Sale Sharks Hospitality the other day, under the current rules, right? Just walking through, and it felt just back to normal. Everything felt back. It felt absolutely fantastic, actually. So I can answer that question. I imagine it'll be almost exactly back to normal. Almost exactly back.
No, but none of them will have got the
No.
the phone call or the email saying, "Oh, by the way, you can't come now."
Yeah, half. Yeah, that's a good point. I bet that. Why don't they ask that question? Someone should ask that question to Premiership Rugby tomorrow. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll give them a call.
You're the kind of man to do so.
Yeah, they do hate my calls.
Everyone hates your calls.
Yeah, I don't know why they get these things wrong. You know, like it's not. You know, why did you not check this? This would be the first thing that I'd check. How many people can I have through the door?
I think from what I read, they were anticipating, and it had been given like an amber light to be a test event, so over the capacity of the current limit, but they've withdrawn that as in it's a government decision to withdraw that for whatever reason the government have given. So it's not a. I think it's been taken out of
Well,
Premiership Rugby's
I'm
hands.
sure if the government decided it, it's only based on pure evidence and logic,
of
and is
course.
done
Absolutely
fairly,
right, Sam.
absolutely
Of course.
right, and there's no reason to question it whatsoever.
Ugh,
Right.
there we go.
Okay. Well, whatever. We've ended how we've ended. We've ended how we've ended.
Let's-
And if you're
Yeah.
still bloody listening, then you'll not be surprised
Hey,
in the least anyway.
The YouTube numbers look pretty good, to be fair. So thanks,
Well,
thanks for watching.
We're on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Hit like before the stream ends. Make sure you watch in the week for more content that's coming your way. If you are listening on the podcast, as most do, then thank you very much. Hit subscribe, because coming your way will be Lions content, Premiership final content. We've got a Q&A pod on the way. We've got listeners emailing in quizzes and stuff. And by the way, that Will Greenwood Quinn shirt, if you've got a good reason why it should be you or someone you know getting it, then contact eggchasers@gmail.com. We're patreon.com/eggchasers. Anything else?
Yeah, North Dorset Sevens, North Dorset Sevens, North Dorset Sevens.
He's at JBeardmore on Twitter. Let the boys play.
Yeah, we also want North Dorset Sevens players. So there.
Done. Right, I'll hit. We're still live.
Are we still live?
Yeah, I'll
Still
turn
live.
this off.
Do it live.